Believe the lie, so everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to grow. I'm not the one with two star hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Yes, we've been boned again.
Born again.
Hey, Dave, guess what?
What?
I actually hit all the buttons right this
Yes,
week.
we're
actually recording. Did you notice last week? You probably, well, you had to because you edited this thing. You noticed I didn't have it on in the beginning, didn't you?
Yeah.
Don't you just love that?
Yeah.
I make his job so much more fun because he's got to sit there and figure out how am I going to get this sound right.
Yes. I tell you what, we are taking interns application for post-production.
For post-production, that's a good one.
Because I stay up about 4 hours at night trying to get our lips to match the sound. By the way, happy birthday, Julian. Did I get that right?
Well, it sounded like you said Julian, but Jillian, happy birthday to you.
Hey, you know.
Yeah, I know. No, it's fine.
I'll give you your money back.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad asked us to wish you a happy birthday. So
Eddie?
Your dad, by the way, he's sitting right against the wall. He was a chicken to come in front of the camera, so we let him go. We let him sit.
We have a live studio
We have a live
today.
studio audience of one.
Well, you didn't have to
Should we
say
drop
one.
a name?
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, you're doing an insurance policy. You probably owe it to him, right?
Zane Whitlow is the name.
Yeah.
Zane Whitlow.
Big fan of the show.
As I like to call him, Insane.
Yeah.
Insane Whitlow. No, seriously, he's a good friend. We've been friends many years. And he's a good guy. Good guy. So, hey.
Can I tell you?
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, let's do that.
Welcome, and I hope everyone has had a good week.
Yes.
We've only got 2.5 weeks to go till election time.
I had an interesting sight today.
Interesting sight.
My wife, Debbie, and I were driving through Tulsa. We were at 11th and Peoria, and oh my goodness, a sea of purple and red ladies. Red hats and purple outfits.
Okay.
And they were the ladies of the Red Hat Society.
Okay.
And, Debbie, get on your phone. Look up what that is, because one of the ladies says it's a red hat thing. So I checked out, found out you've heard of the Masons and the Shriners and the Elks and the Moose and all these guys' fraternal things. And I thought, you know what? It makes sense. There is a fraternal organization now for women over 50 called the Red Hat Society, and they are about being flashy. And these ladies were very bright purple, red, and a little bit of gold, and oh my goodness.
Okay, a couple of questions.
Yeah.
One is, how can women be a fraternal order?
Yeah, I know.
Is the first
I guess
question.
technically it's a sorority.
There you go.
But people understand it when you talk about the Moose and the Elk and the Shriners and all these guy clubs.
Those would be fraternal.
Yeah, those are guy clubs. So
Right.
there's a gals club now.
Okay, a gals. Okay.
Gals over
All right.
50.
All right, thank you. And then you still haven't answered the question, what is their function?
Being
Other than wearing red
it's
and
a
purple
social gathering. I would assume they're probably more often than not single or widows or that. And it fills a niche to get together with other gals who like to get out and do things. And it started in Fullerton, California. And the lady who started it is now referred to as the
big hat.
The exalted Queen Mother is what they call the head of their society. Yes.
Oh, man.
All right, that's enough on the Red Hat Society.
So you interrupt my intro monologue with a discussion about women that wear red hats and purple, and we don't really still know what the real purpose is.
I'm traumatized, Eddie. I can't not talk about what I'm traumatized.
Okay, what you saw. Okay. No, seriously though, if it makes them feel good and they're able to get out and have a sisterhood,
yeah,
okay, then wonderful.
Started 20 years ago, and they're already up to 30,000 members.
I do have to say this. Women need women.
Yes.
They do.
And you know what?
As men do. You're using the word fraternal.
Yeah.
Like men need men.
Right.
In fact, this leads us into a great discussion that you and I have had before. We've had a discussion in the vein of PTSD. My theory is PTSD is really nothing. I can't say it's nothing more, but the major. Let's put it this way. To me, the major thing of PTSD is being deprived of a bond that you had that you can't get anymore. In other words, you see it in the military because there's nothing like the brotherhood of men in military that they get because they're driven together from the time of boot camp. From the time you get there, what you experience with those guys, and especially when your life is in danger, and every day those are the guys that see you from sunup to sundown and even beyond. You lay there and you in the middle of the night in boot camp and throughout, you hear them pass gas. You hear them snore. You hear them talk in their sleep. You see them when their girlfriends write them their letters that they're breaking up with them. You see the guys cry. You see them laugh. It's almost making me cry even thinking about it because I've seen this.
Sure.
I've experienced this myself in different situations. You talk about a fraternal bond.
Yeah.
There is no fraternal bond like that of men in the military. I have to tell this quick story. When I was in not Vietnam. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I was not in Vietnam, like Brandon was, right? No, or somebody. No.
I might call you a Democrat.
Yeah, right.
It's something Democrats.
Yeah, stolen valor. No,
Yeah.
I was in Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay, and we were on a mission trip, and we had a young kid on my team. He was like 19 years old, and we shared a hut together. And I came in the hut one day, and there he was, and the kid was just crying.
Yeah.
And I said, what's going on? What are you crying about? And the kid told me, he said that he didn't want to go home. And I said, why don't you want to go home? He said, because when I go home, and he was a Christian, he said, because when I go home, I know I'm going to backslide. And I said, why would you backslide when you go home? And he told me, he said, because I know I will never experience what I'm experiencing here in the mission field.
Right.
The brotherhood with the men and women, and what I'm experiencing out here in the field, in the relationship with God that I have here. Once I get home, I'm going to be hit with the daily things of the daily grind of life. And I'm going, and sadly, here's the real tragedy. I heard years later, he backslid. I mean, I don't know how you can, and the guy was just such a spiritual, loved the Lord so much,
right?
But he almost predicted what he was going to do.
Well, yeah, because he
crazy.
Thrived in one element,
right?
Not so much in another. But Eddie, I think the definition for what you're describing is separation anxiety.
Exactly.
Now, we used to call it homesick when you were leaving home to go off to college, because how many kids drop out because they're homesick, right?
Right.
But it works in reverse when you really do bond into this new environment, than going back to the old. So it works both ways. So that's why they use the term separation anxiety.
That's the exact term. Yeah. That's it, Dave. And I think now, are there mental disorders and things? I'm not denying that is true. That is true. But I think such a large portion of what we see that we call PTSD and some of the other disorders, a lot of it is just that. A wife, a young lady that a young man leaves to go off to war, be it Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, any of the places we go off to. The man that went to even Korea, even in peacetime, gone for a year. You're gone for a year. And your new experience is with these guys.
Yep.
Your platoon, your squad, and they're going out drinking. You have these guys that leave as these tight Christian guys, good Christian young men. And their guys are going out to these bars every night and seeing prostitutes and seeing this. I mean, all these guys, and the pressure on these guys and the loneliness that can build up. And all of a sudden you stumble.
Okay. You want to know what?
Let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. And so anyway, and you this pressure starts building up, and eventually it's chip, and the guys may fall. And then what happens? Then the guilt builds up in them, and things like this happen. And there's so much pressure that after a while, they're men, they're young men. These are young guys, a lot of them, and then they come back. And it's tough. It's tough. And then you add drugs to the mix, and it just gets compounded and compounded. Okay. It's a tough deal.
So here's the difference of why it's worse now. I mean, it's real simple. World War I, U.S. involvement, 2 years max, right?
Right.
World War II, 3 years max.
Yeah.
Korean War, 2 years max. Vietnam War went on, but for the individual, they served their tour and they were done. In today's military, how many guys went on like 3 tours?
Yeah,
4 tours? That's
5.
an accumulative problem.
Some had 5.
Yes.
5 deployments and stuff.
That's the problem with being the professional soldier. Now, I know your dad did a 20-year, or probably more than that.
Right, but actually, in actual combat, he did 1 year,
exactly.
right on the front lines, and experienced all that. But he didn't.
This is our problem, and I think the people in charge need to take a hard look and say, you know what? It should be one and done for the actual combat. It really should.
That's good, Dave. That's good.
Yeah.
See that is something that the higher ups should be concentrating on, rather than all of a sudden transvestite activities and breaking down social norms.
Yeah.
That which seems to be the order of the day.
Right. Because all those years that we had the draft, one thing you're certain of is you would have your one obligation and that's it. Right. But when you sign up to be career, that's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
See, and even the officers, they might be longer, but the officers wasn't always that guy in that. Well, yes, they were in the foxhole with their troops.
Well, the lieutenants.
Yeah, lieutenants.
See,
but how long did a guy stay lieutenant?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. Because as soon as the higher you moved up, the farther back you went.
Exactly.
The lieutenants are the ones that they lost. I mean, I can't tell you how many lieutenants were killed.
Yeah.
And so many of the lieutenants were hated by the enlisted guys, because you get some guy straight out of ROTC or West Point or somewhere. Yeah. The West Point were more the better guys. The ROTC guys that had no respect, except
for Lieutenant Dan. He hated Forrest Gump for saving his life.
Lieutenant, there you go. You just had to roll. We were on a roll, people. We were on a roll.
Real serious until
in a serious deep discussion, and he brings up Forrest Gump. Yeah. Dave.
But yeah,
pray for my brother here.
Okay, we got a big show today.
Yeah. We. I don't know about big, but we have a show.
I got a lot of things on the list.
I see that. I see. Hey, let's start. We'll just start across the pond.
Yeah.
In England.
Yeah.
Liz Truss is gone.
Yeah.
The shortest prime minister, I believe, in the history, unless there's a shorter one. There may probably somewhere in history it was a shorter. It's weird. It's weird that the takes you have. Okay, so I woke up this morning and I watched Nigel Farage, or maybe it was last night. I think it was actually last night. I think I saw him with Greg Kelly, and on Newsmax. And Nigel Farage was on, and he was explaining how she was basically stabbed in the back by the Conservative Party of England, that she was in the vein of Ronald Reagan and the Iron Lady,
Thatcher,
Margaret Thatcher, back in the 80s, that she was truly trying to rein in all of the spending and all of the liberalism that was going on in Parliament in England, and they weren't ready for it. And so they kicked her to the curb. It was her own party that did her in. And so now, what are they wanting to do? Guess.
Well, the talk this morning was that Boris might be back.
Exactly. Can you
Boris
imagine?
Johnson.
They're talking about bringing Boris Johnson back. I mean, are you kidding me? So that's what's going on. So then I turn on Tucker, and then Tucker has Piers Morgan on.
Oh, yeah.
And Piers
Strong conservative Piers.
Exactly. And Piers is saying what a good thing it was that Liz is gone. And he's saying, yes, she did the whole wrong thing, and there's doing something and doing it too quickly and this and this and this. And then you go back and forth. So now you've got, and we know that Pierce is not exactly Mr. Conservative.
I'm sorry.
I don't give him a whole lot. Exactly. I don't give him a lot of work. So then you go back over to Newsmax, you go here, and then the show this is why I watch Fox Business. Okay. You go to Fox Business, and it's like down the middle. That's where you actually get, because there they hit it saying that the Conservative Party is on the wrong track.
Yeah.
They've gone too far to the left.
Yeah. Now, let's just, for dummies here.
Okay.
I'm 61, and I still don't quite understand the whole British parliamentary,
I don't think the British understand the parliamentary system.
The crazy thing about this is the people don't get to vote for their prime minister there. Only the members of that party get to vote.
Right. And then you got the lords and the regular people.
Yeah, but the real power to run the country is in the House of Commons, not the House of Lords. Right. House of Lords is just kind of a ceremonial thing as far as I'm concerned, at least in the more modern days.
You sure you don't let them find that?
Yeah, I know. They think there's something. But my point being here, when Nigel was here in Tulsa, he tried to explain to us a lot of this. He just said, the Labor Party is absolutely decimated right now and has been for years.
Since Tony Blair left.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to mount a serious effort to take over and run the government.
But to me, the Conservative Party today is where the Labor Party was back when Bill Clinton and Tony Blair were in office.
In fact,
that's what's sad. That's what's so crazy.
Nigel's trying to explain to us. He said, politics being the art of what's possible. He says, getting rid of socialized medicine. He says, that's just beyond the scope of anything anybody would dare to do.
Something I have to wonder. I don't know if you remember, but Liz met with King, whatever his name, Charles.
Yes.
Chuck. She met with King Charles. Okay. Was it 2 weeks ago? Shortly, because she was only prime minister for what? Was it a month?
Right. The very last thing Queen Elizabeth did was give her consent to Liz Truss to form a government.
Right.
And then she died a few days later.
Right. And then I'm trying to remember. But anyway, she met with King Charles.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if there wasn't something going on there that he basically didn't give his approval. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of, because he's a real lib.
Well,
he's a lib.
Yeah, he is. He's like far out there into wacky stuff
into
too.
Environmentalism.
And the thing to watch was Charles' real first power would be whether he gives consent to a new prime minister or will he pull some funny stuff. Because what happens if the king says no? We don't know.
I don't understand why they give him a time of day.
I know.
I mean, I thought the King deal was over a couple of 100 years ago.
Well, yeah, and really 20 years ago, King Charles said he's going to pass on the secession and let it go straight to his son.
Yeah, but
that didn't last.
The environmental movement is too important for him to now, advocate.
Yeah, that's really the thing that's been his passion for decades.
Exactly.
So anyway, Liz, better to find out sooner than later that she doesn't have what it takes.
Right. I think, I'll be honest with you, I actually think she probably just said, take this job and shove it.
I would agree.
I think in the meeting with Prince Charles and in her own party, what she saw and she said, this isn't what I signed up for. Y'all can have this.
Yeah, it's a dysfunctional
I don't want it.
mess.
I don't need it. Yeah.
And, I think the thing you're likely to start seeing is a move to change the constitutional process of selecting a government.
In England. That'll be interesting.
Because I think they're going to look to something like what the U.S. has with direct election for their leader.
Well, it'd be a good time to do it. It would be a good time to do it. Let the people finally decide rather than their lords and ladies and everybody else.
So that's the news from England.
Yeah. Hey, I ran across a really cool article. This is more local. This is Tulsa stuff, but it's a really, really nice thing. It's about our Hobby Lobby.
Yes, the Green family.
The Green family, right. And David Green, in fact. It says, my decision to give away ownership of Hobby Lobby, I chose God. Mm-hmm. And it's God who gives us the power to make wealth, and I have learned that as CEO, CEO of Hobby Lobby.
It's Friday.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a long day. No, it was good. Good week. Patagonia's founder recently made news when he gave away the ownership of his company to allow the mission and purpose to remain intact. His decision, while rare, reflects the decision of other business owners like Alan Barnhart of Barnhart Crane. And so I experienced a similar decision-making process with my ownership of Hobby Lobby. I chose God. The thought process reflects a basic competition of ideas that I think every business leader should reflect upon. What is the true source of your success? Mm-hmm. In the mid 1980s, this is really good stuff here. Mm-hmm. Everybody should really take note of this. In the mid 1980s, I went through a period where I'd grown proud, thinking that I had the Midas touch and nearly lost the business. Yeah. God had to show me that he was the one who granted success. Mm-hmm. The Bible says in Deuteronomy 8:18 that it's God who gives us the power to make wealth. Yeah. In that vein, I'd encourage every leader to consider their source of truth. What is the basis upon which they make decisions? Is it just themselves or even a leadership team? Mm-hmm. So, he gives all the glory to God, and that was why he decided it was time for him to give away the ownership. Now, did Mark give away his as well, his brother?
Well, they say they're giving away. I mean, there's nothing on paper here. He's talking from a philosophical standpoint.
So he. Now I understand. He gave it over to God.
Yeah, which we should all do with all of our property and that. But what he says there in the 80s is interesting, very telling, because I was intimately, personally involved in that market, the hobby and crafts market.
What have you not been involved in, Dave?
Yeah. When I came down here to go to Bible school in 1980, I worked for Flair Flowers by the Rathbone family. Right. And they were bigger in arts and crafts here in Tulsa than Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby started in Oklahoma City, and they tried to come in to Tulsa. They went out to East Tulsa. But then good management. Hobby Lobby is good, well run, very diligent. Outside the Rathbone family, I was about the only other individual in their deal. But it really shows the ability to grow and delegate. Hobby Lobby did better than what I was a part of. That kind of was hit a glass.
Maybe that's when this happened.
But
he said it was the mid-'80s.
Here's what it was. Because there was another...
Oh, so it wasn't God.
There was another...
You're saying it wasn't God.
No, what I'm saying is what he's referring to in the 80s is they started going into other cities, but they carefully didn't directly compete with Michael's until they both went into Chicago. And then it was war. And then Michael's came into Tulsa, and in the late 80s, and keep in mind at that same time, we were under an economic depression in 86, 87, even into 88 here in Oklahoma. The oil market had just crashed, right? So all of those factors made it very tough for retail. Very, very tough. And they survived much better than the company I worked for. I left the company I worked for in 95 because I just saw there was no path forward. And this is the key. When you want to grow your business, you got to learn to delegate. And when you're a family business, that's a tough thing to do. Not everybody can do it. And you can't grow without trusting. So, yeah, the Green family did that. And really, Mart's my age. He took a closed-up office supply store and started Mardell's Christian and Office Supply. He put the name Christian because he wanted to sell Christian books and music.
Right.
And that's really how it started. That's why you still see some office supplies at Mardell's.
Right. I mean, if you think between the two of them, Hobby Lobby, Mardell's, which actually they've kind of combined in most places. Yeah. But, I mean, still, I have to go with what he says here, that once he gave it over to God, that's when it took off. He says it happened in the 80s. And I've seen that with my business, and I think Zane can probably attest to this. For example, now is Medicare season. And annual enrollment. And every year there's this pressure on, we got to compete. I got to get so many people. I've got to get these people. The phone's now ringing. What's going on? And I will calm down. I said, it's all right. It's up to you, God. You bring him in when, if somebody needs it, wants me, call, bum. And every time I do that, every time I let it go, boom, the phone starts ringing. Yeah. It just, people start. And so I have to, what's the old saying, let go and let God? Yeah. There's nothing truer than that. And I just want to say to all of you out there, don't get so bogged down that you when I first started this insurance business, I thought, oh, who wants to buy from me? Oh, and they would give us quotas. You're supposed to get these quotas. You got to get this, and how am I going to get these quotas? You're thinking, how am I going to do this? And then I think, and then the Lord would just say, let it go. Don't worry about it. You just do what you do. Do what you do. And then at the end, you look, oh, I hit my quota, or I exceeded. And it's just crazy. It's not, when I'm chasing numbers, it doesn't work. And I have to let the numbers chase me.
Here's the interesting thing, Eddie, because what you're really selling to people is security, right? You're selling that, hey, if a fire comes, don't worry, you're covered, right? If you get in a car accident, you're covered. And it's kind of hard to sell that security to people when you're fretting all over.
Right, yeah, that's true. But no matter what it is, it's the craziest thing. It's like in sharing the gospel. One of the worst things when you feel like you gotta believe. You got grabbing somebody, believe in Jesus. You hear me? Believe in Jesus. You're gonna accept him now. Now get on your knees and repeat after me. Lord, I'm a sinner. Can you imagine? I mean, that's kind of a gun, But no, it doesn't work that way. You just have to trust, And I think I told the story about preaching in Austria and these Nazis, being there and walking in front of me just to make sure they knew that they didn't have anything to walk out, and God telling me, remember, it's not your job to make them believe. It's not your job to make them listen. It's just your job to tell them. And it's the same in everything we do. Everything in life is about doing what you can do and then trusting God to do the rest. Yeah. We plant, we water, and we reap. But he causes the harvesting, right? He's the one who causes the harvesting. But anyway, so I thought this just spoke out to me. I just came across it as I was, and this was on the Fox News page. They had this whole article on David Green here and his sharing about having given over the ownership of Hobby Lobby to God, and I didn't even think of it in those terms until you pointed that. I thought he had sold it and he was just going back. But yeah, let that just be something for you all today to think about. That if you're in any kind of situation, in fact, let me jump a little bit here, because in fact this will be a perfect opportunity to switch to the next story I want to discuss. A lot of people like to get on our friend in Houston, another pastor.
Yeah. Yes.
One of my favorite people to talk about and people to jump on. His first name is Joel Osteen.
Osteen, yep.
And people don't seem to like Joel Osteen. Well, I can't say people don't like him. He's doing pretty well. So somebody must like him. But I don't know why people don't. Christians seem to have such a hard time with Joel Osteen. And I just say, you got to let it go. Joel, I have not heard anything that he said that is contrary to God. I mean, honestly, I haven't heard him preach any heresy. I haven't had, I'm sorry. And I haven't even heard a bunch of name it, claim it. Everybody tries to say he's one of your name it, claim it word preachers. To me, he's just preaching and teaching faith that God is good.
Yeah.
And his examples are about people that were blessed by God. And the scripture is all about being good. And he just chooses to give examples and preach about the goodness of God. Now, when you watch and of course, there's those 30-minute shows, where it just shows that. I don't know if you've ever watched one of his. Have you ever seen the long where they have the whole service?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Joe, he's on Sunday night on local channels here.
That's the 30-minute.
Yeah, so I see those.
But yeah, I somehow stumbled on one, but they have the whole worship time earlier. Yeah. And then
I actually watched the long form the night Kanye and his team performed.
Oh yeah, okay,
that is true.
Yeah, and then they had then they have I've heard and then other people get up and speak and preach and do things. Yeah. But what really spoke to me, a fraternity brother of mine and guy from Texas Tech, really good young man, and he passed away. I went to his funeral. And he was over in Longview, Texas. And they sent one of the pastors from there, came all the way, drove up there to do the funeral because he went to Lakeview.
Okay.
A church in Houston. But and they talked about this young man. Well, he wasn't young anymore. He was young when I was at Tech, and I was a young man. But what ministry he was over, and he was over this homeless ministry. But what we see Joel Osteen, the glam. Everybody knows about the glam part. They don't know about the fact of the homeless ministry they have, the street teams, the drug ministry they have, the pregnancy ministry they have. All of the different things that they're actually doing. Right. Besides you seeing Joel.
Exactly.
And that's what kind of frustrates me. Bob Mumford was a Christian teacher many years ago.
Yeah.
You probably know.
70s,
Christian growth.
Way back.
Yeah. Gifted guy. But I remember him talking about the song Onward Christian Soldiers and the Christian Army. He said, but the Christian army seems to be the only army on earth that when our soldiers come home wounded, we finish them off.
Yeah.
Everybody else finds their wounded, takes care of what we do when they're wounded and come back from battle, we finish them off. And I'm always reminded of that because it's so often instead of supporting ministry, now there are truly heretical ministries and ministers out there. But no, what do? We want to attack. And where does that come from? It's not coming from the Lord. It's not coming from God. Joel Osteen is not preaching heresy. I mean, that's what bothers me. If he were preaching true heresy, and I guarantee you 90% of the people who are upset with Joel Osteen aren't upset with what he's preaching. They're upset with his beautiful wife. They're upset with this, 20,000 people that he has in his congregation, that big stadium he has. The fact that he may fly around in jets, he dresses, all of these things. But they don't really know anything about Joel, how he got that, and all of this.
Exactly.
What his father went through. I mean, think of
John.
John Osteen.
I got to meet John back.
Right.
He came to our Bible school.
Yeah. And so
much different guy. John's ministry was much different.
Exactly. So these are the things that we don't. But having said all that, and speaking of onward Christian soldiers and us finishing them off, Kanye West. Okay. This week we had a whole, actually it's been 2 weeks now, I guess, hasn't it? Maybe even longer.
One issue to another. Kanye stayed up there in the news.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden, the first week, Kanye was the hero.
Yeah, the White Lives Matter T-shirts.
Exactly. He and Candace Owen were the heroes with their White Lives Matter shirts, and everybody, oh, yeah, we got somebody standing up against it. And now all of a sudden, they become zeros, and everybody's attacking
the DEFCON 3 comment, where'd that come from? But the Jews, he went after Jewish.
But he didn't go after the Jews.
Okay, explain it.
See, this is my peeve. This is my point. We can say Mexican cartels, can't we? We can say El Salvadoran gangs, but you don't want to say Jewish con men. You don't want to say the Jewish, whatever, cabal in Hollywood.
That's a good point.
The Jewish cabal in Hollywood.
Right.
Don't touch the Jews.
Yeah.
You know how I am. I support Israel totally. Yeah, I support Israel 100%. I think, in fact, here's what's funny. You can have Ilhan Omar, this other crazy one, the crazy one that was jumping around at Trump rallies years ago, and then she became a congresswoman. She's part of the squad. I forget her name. She wears glasses. That tells you a lot. If I'm you out there probably know who I'm talking about. She was cussing at the Trump rally and stuff.
Oh, Tlaib.
Tlaib, exactly. Yeah. All of them. They can rain down hail and fire and brimstone on Israel, the real Jewish nation, right? Oh, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
But let Kanye speak against Jewish business and a subgroup of a subgroup of a subgroup, and also he's an anti-Semite. There's nothing anti-Semite. He's speaking of a specific group within an industry, right? And now all of a sudden he is supposed to be an anti-Semite. There's nothing anti-Semitic.
And here's the thing: if some industries they have the market cornered within an ethnicity, like the diamond market, right? Very much run by Jewish people,
right?
Most in Brooklyn,
right? They're Hasidic.
Yes,
they're Hasidic Jews. He didn't say anything about Hasidic Jews.
But what I'm saying, if I'm going after the organized, racketeer or whatever marketing of the diamond cabal,
right?
Yeah, you could say I'm going after Hasidics. I don't even have to mention that they're Hasidic though either.
Right. Or think of the mafia. Right. When you say mafia, what do you think of?
Right.
Italian.
Yeah, Sicilian, Italian, that whole. But anyway, by the way, I just want to say my allegiance regarding the Middle East is not with Israel. It's with the church. Because there's Christians in both Palestine and in Israel, and they're being persecuted, the Christians, by both the Jewish state and the Palestinian state. And they are the salt of the earth. They're not the problem. So I just want to make it clear, I'm not going to be 100% rah-rah for the government of Israel, because there's things the government of Israel is doing wrong to the church, and they need to be condemned in that capacity.
True. However, Christians are still free to exercise their faith in Israel.
Freer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, for Kanye to speak of Jews in Hollywood is not an attack on Jews.
Yeah.
A carte blanche. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you, but yeah.
And so now
it is a double standard.
It is a double standard. And so here's what really gets me. So now you've got people on Newsmax. Newsmax, which I just praised a minute ago. Yeah. Newsmax now is coming down attacking Kanye for being anti-Semitic.
Right.
And then you got people on Fox attacking. Why? Dare I say it? Because you got Jews in Hollywood that pull the strings at Newsmax and Fox. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and Ben Shapiro, who's a Hasidic Jew, or how odd,
right?
And he, he's even criticizing Candace Owens, who's one of his associates.
Yeah, See, if you're that sensitive, Ben, and or anybody, I sit here and attack black people all day, okay, and all night. I mean, you've heard me. I do it.
Y'all, they're part of y'all.
Yeah, they're part of y'all, and so are you all. Yeah. Part of y'all. Everybody. That's what the all stands for. But anyway, this is the problem, that we're not supposed to. Well, unless you're white and European, then we can say anything we want about your honkies. I can call you a Chuck. I can call you Mr. Charlie. I can call you.
Oh, he comes after my Flemish ethnicity, but I can't go after his black ethnicity.
I mean, just think of it. Just think of the first part of your name, Flem.
I'm not a Fleming.
Flemish, Yeah.
See what I
mean? So no.
I need to call your mother. She'll probably agree with you.
Bad Eddie. No, but oh man, I don't know how I'm going to recover from this one. But no,
we
seriously,
need to take a break.
Yeah, we do. But no, let me just wrap up saying this. I'm really upset at people that should know better falling for this. Mm-hmm. Newsmax should not be falling for this game that is being played upon them to get on. Those who know me know I am not a fan of Kanye West's music. I'm not a fanboy. I really don't like Candace Owens, let me put this, I don't dislike her. I just don't think she is the best representative of conservative blacks, okay?
She reaches some people, but you're not one of them.
I'm not one of them. She I don't know, there's something about her. She's just, not, as the Germans say, nicht mein Geschmack, okay, not my taste, okay? But I will defend them when they're to be defended.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Like I defend the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to become a Proud Boy, but I defend the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Okay? I will defend, you name it.
No, you're right, because you're exposing what I even saw Rush Limbaugh go after G.W. Bush about. That posturing where you'll throw all your other fellow conservatives under the bus to say that, I wouldn't do that. They should not do that. It's posturing.
It's posturing.
Yeah.
And it's got to stop.
Yep.
And when we come back, I want to discuss some posturing and the issues in Oklahoma right now that we're facing. And we've got to stop. It's got to stop, and it's got to stop very soon, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, we'll be back in a few minutes. Eddie Huff, Dave Van Risingham. I started calling you something else.
When you say that.
Anyway, hey, thank you very much. We will be back after this.
I'm Jeff Davis with Just a Thought. From the world hindquarters of dubious information, it's Fake News Friday. Legal eagles are worried that the worsening economy is creating false information about taxes. A journalist in Russia fled the country because she was being targeted for spreading fake news about the Ukrainian invasion. Singer Ellie Goulding is the target of fake news with memes of things she did not say. A report that social media influencers spread fake news. Well, they are influencers. Pink slime journalism is where fake news sites are created to spread fake news. Democrats in Washington and Florida are doing just that with 51 sites. Be careful what you believe. The Star, an online publication, says there's a fake site that looks just like them, but it's actually a gaming site. You can bet it's a scam. The fake fur market is expected to show significant growth in the next 6 years. Can I get a fake fur beard? Fake news in Colombia about dogs spreading COVID resulted in thousands of dogs being abandoned. They've found new homes with people who deserve them. Just a thought. I'm Jeff Davis.
Hey, by the way, while we take this break, I'm going to go ahead and speak about my book. It's called Y'all Have Sinned, and it is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
And eventually we'll get it up on one of our websites.
I hope we do a good review of it, Eddie, you and me.
Yeah.
As a project.
So look for it. If you'll go to freshblackcoffee at gmail.com, freshblackcoffee@gmail.com, give us your address and everything. We'll keep you abreast of everything, okay? Anyway, in the meantime, we'll get back to the show.
No, you're not watching Stranger Things episode.
Even though we're a
little strange.
You're hearing some of the Stranger Things, I'm sure. We are a couple of the Stranger Things. And it's, yeah.
Shut up, Kate.
I said, yeah, you are.
Kate didn't have to agree with that.
You are. Oh, man, Dave. This is a good one today. Hey, so we finished with the deal on Kanye, but no, seriously, it is an issue that I think I just get upset, and it brings me to let's come to Oklahoma.
No, can I just one more thing on Kanye? He's buying Parler.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing for Parler, and it's a good thing for Kanye. It's a brilliant synergy of pop culture and something that, has been at the forefront of an alternative social media. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what happens with social media, period, because Elon now will have Twitter, Kanye will have Parler, Donald Trump will have Truth Social.
Yep.
So it's on. It's on.
Well,
let's get ready to rumble.
And the three of them, my understanding, the three of them are pretty amicable, right? Amicable, thank you. Kanye said that he talks to Elon at least weekly, if not more.
And Trump.
Elon and Trump are both, Wharton School alum and stuff. No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I think it's just the beginning.
Let's throw Joe Rogan in there.
Ooh. Yeah,
because you got the best top podcaster, which I listen to quite regularly. In fact, our studio on said, you guys ought to have a show where you talk about which are your top podcasts, and Eddie's Netflix. Okay.
It's not a podcast.
Yeah, I know. You don't listen to podcasts except.
No, my top podcast is How to Distinguish an African Mud Frog from a Russian Rock Frog.
Yeah.
Riveting.
Okay.
Actually, more like riveting.
Rim shot.
Ribbit.
But I am a podcasting fan. In fact, Eddie, I think it's taking over what used to be the talk radio revolution.
Ribbit.
You don't want to die. Okay. He's moving on.
Yeah.
Don't mock me.
Hey.
It's too late.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to quickly, leaving the state of Oklahoma quickly, because I want to get back and spend some time on very serious stuff going on here. But former President Barack Hussein Obama He's stumping now for Fetterman.
Yep.
Finally, he's decided to step in for Fetterman. And he's done a campaign ad, and he says, "The fate of our democracy is on the line." I am so sick of the term democracy. They have taken the word, and we've spent enough time trying to explain to people that they have totally perverted the word of democracy.
And when they say it, they say our democracy.
Yes, our
what
democracy.
they mean is our regime.
Yeah. Their personal definition of democracy, which really is nothing more than demagoguery.
It's their regime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Their interpretation of it. So, but Barack Obama has decided he's made a plea for their man. In a 30-second video shared Thursday by Fetterman, Obama asks voters to cast their ballots for the Democratic candidate who is locked in a battle with his Republican opponent, Dr. Mehmet Oz. So here's Obama. This is Obama. So when the fate of our democracy and women's right to choose are on the line, I know John will fight for Pennsylvania. Oh, my goodness. So, see, this is the thing. They're still trying to make a woman's right to choose the hallmark of their campaign. They think that America is enamored with abortion. They think that basically killing a baby is the central thought of America. Now, you wonder why they're losing the Latino vote, why they're losing the black vote, why they're losing the independent vote. It's because they have other things to think about. Latinos actually are very conservative block of people. Hispanics like their babies. They're like their muchachos.
Very family values.
Yes.
Hispanics.
Very family.
And yes, I'm generalizing, okay? I'm stereotyping, but yes.
Yes. I stereotype with you.
Yeah.
They like their kids. They like lots of kids. And I don't blame them. I like kids.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of Kanye, by the way, when I went out there and I saw him, I want to name drop like you do. Yeah, you know. I can't let you one up me. All these people you mentioned. But anyway, so when I was out there during this unbelievable music that this choir was doing, I think we talked about that one episode way back.
Yeah.
A cappella, these people just singing, and you're just caught up in this most beautiful music, and at the same time, it's like, release the Kraken. They let these kids loose. And we're talking like 4 to 6 year olds, you know, and these kids are just running all over the place and they're screaming. And I have to say, you talk about concentration on focus. This choir is singing this most angelic, beautiful music with kids screaming all around them. Now, and how they could focus, because they didn't miss a note, and they would stop. It was kind of it was almost like like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir or the Vienna Boys Choir, but the way they would be singing a note and all of a sudden like just stop flat and then start, and you know like this. But how they could do all of that with these little kids laughing and screaming and all, and then Kanye's with his iPhone videoing the choir and everything. And
your family says they heard you and Marilyn Manson singing together.
We were trying to keep up.
You didn't name drop that one. I had.
No, I did. Yeah, you had to do that. Yeah,
Marilyn Manson,
because that's who you are. You like to name drop. You know.
Well, you told me Marilyn was sitting right in front of you.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was sitting right there in front of me, which was a shock. But you're drawing me away from the whole point.
I'm sorry, Eddie.
No, but,
not really.
But now you have, because I hardly remember what we were talking about.
Yeah, the preciseness of it, angelic, the kids making noise. Those were your comments.
No, but I think I was trying to make a point about our democracy is how I began. Zane, do you remember our audience member we were talking about our democracy, and then we went into. Oh man, I apologize.
Obama's out there.
Yeah, but anyway, I was trying to bring it home to Oklahoma.
Okay.
We need to rename our podcast. Yeah. Two old guys sitting around shooting the breeze. Instead of fresh black coffee.
Somebody
black coffee. So get the pacemaker. the new podcast, Get the Pacemaker.
I knew a guy who's a youth pastor at a church I went to, and one of the board members once said about his ADD. He said that boy wakes up in a new place every 5 minutes.
That's what it is.
It's Friday. Let's make it.
I think we were talking about Obama and Fetterman.
Well, yeah.
So Obama is campaigning for Fetterman.
Obama is actually stumping with more candidates than Biden is. Yeah. Biden bragged about he's got 15 candidates nationwide asking him to go campaign for him. Fetterman's one of them.
Yeah, it's sad. It's pretty sad. But Dr. Oz is gaining on him.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead. You're going to comment on that?
No, I want to segue when we can to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Let me do this. Yeah.
Yes, finish that.
Dr. Oz, he was behind, but he seems to be catching. In fact, nationwide, Georgia and Florida.
Oh, Florida's double digits. So's Texas.
Yeah, and because the senator Marco Rubio, he was apparently in a heated battle with the lady down there, the Democrat down there. He was in the. See, my problem with the media is I don't know. It's hard to tell anymore when you can trust them or not.
Right.
The beauty is the closer it gets to the actual race, they don't want to be found to be totally.
Yeah.
So things start tightening. All of a sudden, it's starting to show true what's going on.
Yeah, I want to say something because what media does is they use their own polling that they commission or do internally, and they will skew your perspective. It's called the bandwagon theory. Right? And trying to get you to think, oh, yeah, he doesn't have a chance. He doesn't have a chance. And then we see all of these polls starting to tighten up because they're only judged by the last poll they take before the election and how close it was.
Right.
They never, scrutinize, hey, how come you had the Democrat up double digits when the Republican ended up winning?
Right, exactly.
Because that poll was not intended to give you a true picture. It was meant to play with your brain to get you conservatives to give up.
Right.
Quit giving him money.
Yeah. So it looks like Herschel Walker now is starting to take the lead there.
Here's the news. Charlie Kirk said this afternoon, Nevada looks like it'll be a red state when this is over.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans are sweeping Nevada right now.
Good. And so here in Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz, but what still concerns me, I think we talked about this last week, that we have Republicans that hold it against Dr. Oz. I have a lady here in Tulsa, actually a couple, that are concerned about the fact that Dr. Oz has a dual citizenship with Turkey.
Sure.
Well, we don't care that somebody has a dual citizenship with Canada or Switzerland, but not Turkey. I mean, basically, it's...
Yeah, because Canada's a NATO state, right? Is Turkey? Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, he may be a Muslim.
Oh, yeah.
Which
we weren't allowed to say that about Obama.
Exactly.
But we can about a Republican.
About a Republican, right. And so there's all these... And where does that come from? It's the Democrats that want us to think these things. They're setting this up.
Yeah.
Another one, for example, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has become an independent. She basically left the Democrat Party.
Yep.
So Tulsi Gabbard is now supporting the gubernatorial candidate in Arizona.
Carrie Lake? Yeah.
So she came out publicly to say... So I've got people on Facebook saying, oh, but yeah, can we really trust that Tulsi Gabbard is written out a plant? And I started laughing. I said, do you really think the Democrats need a plant? We've got enough Republicans that are doing damage to our party. The Democrats don't have to do any damage.
Yeah.
They don't have to put any saboteurs within. We've got enough.
Yeah, I
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Dave. I mean, I am at the point where I almost don't want anything to do with it. I'm almost ready to become an independent because like a friend of mine said, I don't know y'all.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma is one of the, and this is where we're headed now. We'll leave Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, Florida, all these other places where things seem to be looking good. Oklahoma's the one I'm worried about now because we've got crazy Republicans here that seem to not understand how dire the circumstances are.
Yeah.
With the gubernatorial race in particular.
Yeah, we had a debate, and it was whenever the video wasn't cutting out on us, because that was, I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, that was
Channel 6, 9, non-doc. Yeah, it's just, that was bad.
Yeah.
This is new media relying on the internet to send our feed anymore. But yeah, it's really interesting because Joy Hoffmeister basically was running against Joy Hoffmeister. I mean, it just, you couldn't figure out. She wants the new marijuana thing. Well, she kind of doesn't, but she says, but it collects a ton of taxes. And she said it out loud. Okay, now you got a candidate who hasn't met a tax she doesn't like.
Right.
That's really what she's signaling right now. That's a problem. I've got Washington Examiner just did a poll, Oklahoma voters, and they ranked top 5 concerns. Abortion's the least. In fact, it shows a 0 right now. They've been doing tracking every week for the last couple months. And number 1 is we're concerned about education by a mile over number 2. At just about half of that, crime. Okay? Particularly with McGirt issues. And then right close behind that, taxes. Now, I was kind of surprised because our taxes aren't that big a deal. And then inflation. I would put inflation probably second or third.
Surprise.
But then they said in number 5, abortion, they put it on there, and it's a 0. Now, in some states, they're pretty riled up over it.
Yeah.
But now Hoffmeister came out as flat. She says, I'm a Christian. I wouldn't get an abortion. But who am I to impose my values on somebody else who wants to kill a kid?
Yeah. I mean, she's lying through her teeth. But here's what bothers me. I had on Facebook, I don't know if you read my page, but there was a guy on there. He keeps bragging about how he's on all of these boards. He's an important a Republican. He's an important person. And I don't know if Zane was following it, but he's keeps talking about how important he is and all. But he was basically calling Kevin Stitt a liar, and he was saying he was lying because he said that our crime is not as bad as New York crime rate, and Kevin never said our crime rate is not the same as New York or higher than New York. What Stitt said was, do you really believe that our crime is as bad as New York and California? That's how he put it. And I mean, he wasn't saying, because see, it's easy to play numbers game. Okay, it's easy to play a numbers game. But New York, the types of crime, the way we're seeing the crime, and in LA, it's like apples and oranges. It's apples and oranges. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And for this guy to be able to attack Stitt, so I'm saying, so we're going to make Hoffmeister governor because you don't like Stitt's answer.
Well, yeah.
I mean, are you insane?
But crime, unless you're dealing with bad statutory criminal code, crime is a municipal issue, by and large, municipal. It's not Stitt's fault that 4 men were murdered in Okmulgee last week. Right. And in fact, Gavin Newsom tried to make hay of it. All of these Republican states that have a higher crime rate, and that, well, actually, you look at the cities, the capital cities, the big metropolis, are all liberal. The top 15 cities in America for crime rate, top 15, 14 of them are run by Democrats and have for a century.
Right. And who is the mayor of Tulsa?
Well, GT.
Yeah, but he's not a Republican.
Some would say Kathy Taylor's the real mayor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when GT took over as mayor, he gave the mayor's office that Dewey Bartlett was in to Kathy Taylor.
Yeah. No, there's nothing Republican about GT Bynum.
Right.
Nothing.
Except when he wants to bash Trump and fellow Republicans, then he says, I'm ashamed of my Republican Party.
Well, yeah, but that shows you who he is.
Yeah.
That he's not a Republican.
Yeah.
He's not.
Well, he's a Liz Cheney, and maybe not even a Liz Cheney.
he makes Liz Cheney look Republican.
Yeah. I would say Liz Cheney, you could argue she's more Republican than GT.
He and Dewey admitted, I think you brought it up, the fact that when we went nonpartisan to nonpartisan elections, where Dewey says biggest mistake he ever made to agree to that, and it is. I mean, because no one knows now, and I mean we know, but that's the only way that he was able to,
because all the Democrats threw their weight behind GT Bynum,
right?
Whereas if that had been a closed Republican primary, there's no way GT wins.
No, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
That's how it works. And in Oklahoma City, like you said, those cities, the two metropolitan cities are where the crime is.
In fact, and I'll give you a prediction right now. Joy Hoffmeister will probably win the vote in the city of Tulsa and in Oklahoma City. Not Edmond, not Moore,
Jinx,
not Jinx, not Broken Arrow in that. I still think Tulsa County will overall go for Stitt, but the city of Tulsa will go for
Who do you think wins overall?
Right now, it looks like Joy would win. Yeah. And it's sad to say.
I understand that. It's sad.
I think if people watched that debate the other night, Stitt did well.
Yeah. Now, the funny thing, too, not funny, but it's interesting, when you think $20 million of dark money, $20 million against Stitt. And, it's bad. So
and again, and I'll repeat this, they say he won't sign an anti-corruption pledge. Yeah, it's called an oath of office. He did it in front of everybody on the Capitol steps, and it's under penalty of imprisonment for violating your oath of office.
Right.
If he is even if he's convicted of a felony, he is automatically, they don't even have to do impeachment. You're automatically removed from office in Oklahoma. Right. In fact, that's why not the last Democrat, second to last, David Walters, he got a Democrat DA to plea bargain down to misdemeanor. He was indicted on several felonies, and which would automatically he's out. So it's really a problem, and I think a lot of it is just because we become apathetic as conservatives.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's what it is, and we do not have true leadership in the Republican Party.
Yeah, we've been doing too much infighting within the party structure, way too much. And last year we should have been building the party. Instead, we were tearing it apart.
Yeah, and we keep bragging about all of the new Republicans, Democrats that are coming over to the party, but there's nobody, once they're here, nobody to lead them.
Yeah,
and to tell them who we're supposed to follow.
Yeah,
I mean, it should be easy with all of the Republican Party now is the majority party. It should be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Just vote straight ticket.
Yeah.
But how many ads are you seeing? How many ads are you seeing on TV? just to say vote Republican. Supports. How many state ads do you see? And you see these all cutesy Joy Hoffmeister with their little children and everything. You see them all the time. You don't see many state ads.
Oh, yeah.
The state ads you see are from some other group that are going against.
Yeah, Joy Hoffmeister's latest ads is condemning Stitt for the attack ads. You imagine the pot calling the kettle black. You know, her buddy spent $20 million attacking him over frivolous stuff that he has nothing to do with.
Right.
And he won't sign your pledge because he's already signed the oath of office.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah,
So,
and unfortunately, Stitt's not getting the money from out of state like she is. He's not getting the same amount of money, and he's not getting the money in state. I mean, it's tough. So, all I can say is, if you can, give. Yeah. Pray. We can just pray and believe and trust, and that's all we can do.
So I'm going to break a little news here.
Oh.
I was meeting with, and I'll tell it
You
now.
heard it first.
AJ Ferrati is now the Oklahoma GOP chairman. And I met with him shortly after he was elected. And he said he had to get an infusion. The state party had to get infusion from the national party. We're supposed to be what they call a donor state. Not a swing state. We're supposed to be a lock. And we're expected to be one of those states that helps fund in battleground races in other states.
But instead, we're a receiver state.
Our party is so decimated from the infighting, everything, that we went deep in debt last year. Deep in debt. And we had to have this infusion. And what's worse than our financial situation is we're not working as a team. We're not growing the party, which we had a beautiful opportunity to do. And, and we're not spreading the message of the conservative freedom message.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Why is that not out there? I mean, it should be easy.
Yeah.
It should literally be easy with Brandon at the top of the helm.
And one of the things, and I'll just use it, OCPA came under attack from a conservative in the last couple of weeks because of, by extension to extension, one of their former contract agents was also at some time in the past contracted with somebody who was part of a dark money that didn't like a particular candidate. I mean, it's just stupid. You're trying to destroy the foundation, the best and most reliable conservative think tank in Oklahoma. And here we got just some, irresponsible person.
Do we name names?
Yeah, Jenny White.
Jenny White, right.
Yeah. And she's on the speaking circuit being invited by such organizations as the Tulsa 912 Project.
Yeah, it's a shame. We have totally taken Ronald Reagan's 12th commandment. Mm-hmm. Or is it the 11th commandment?
11th.
I've just created another commandment. The 11th commandment, just throwing it to the wind. Yeah. I mean, you got a situation where we need all hands on deck. And we talked about this last week. We need to take these petty things and save them for after elections.
Yeah.
And once we have consolidated the power that we need to really make positive change, then we can deal within and clean house, right? We can do the housekeeping, but this stuff right now, it just got to stop, or we're going to lose it. You will lose the state of Oklahoma, and you got this kind of king of the mountain stuff going on that I want to be the big cheese. I want to do this. It's not going to work.
So 4 years ago, the Oklahoma County GOP was very dysfunctional. And what ended up happening is you got a Democrat wins a congressional race there. And then it takes all of our efforts statewide, all of us, to focus on and win that seat. And you know what? If it wasn't for that little bit of the district that's outside of Oklahoma County, it would have stayed Democrat, because the Democrat won Oklahoma County, which is where 94% of the votes came from.
But I don't understand. The worst possible candidate the worst possible candidate the Democrats could come up with is the one that could be governor of the state of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's what I can't understand. And you've got Republicans just seem like crickets. I mean, I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
I don't hear anybody. I see some ads here and here and here, but I don't see anybody with any gravitas. I don't see anybody coming to the aid of the governor. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see any of the senatorial candidates. I don't see any congressional candidates. I don't see any of the state reps. I don't see any of the business people. I don't see anybody. But you've got the tribes, you've got the teachers unions, you've got all of these other people right behind Joy Hoffmeister.
Well, and that's part, Trump didn't come from the Republican machine. He was an outsider, businessman. Stitt, the same thing, outsider, businessman. And it is important to build those relationships. So I like the fresh thinking, the outside the box kind of stuff, and that, but yeah, Inhofe, who's kind of the godfather of the party, has checked out. Hadn't seen him around. Mullen and Hearn are actually out in other states trying to help win Congress and get that. And so they got their hands full, and I think those
What's
are
Langford
things.
doing?
Well, again, he's in his own race right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's got any issues. I don't think he's got a problem against any Democrat.
You don't want to take anything for granted.
Yeah, but come on.
But, where's Mary Fallon? Where is Frank Keating? That's,
Keating's in D.C., isn't he?
No.
Oh, no, he's back.
Oh, yeah, he's long retired. But, yeah, he has for years, and that's where he really made his millions, is a lobbyist there. But, yeah, this is an issue. I mean, it's frustrating when, the senior class or the Steve Larchens, the Jim Bridenstines, the Ernest Instooks and that. Come on, stay involved. But again, I don't want to sound like Jenny White here pointing fingers at her, because what am I doing?
No, I don't want to I don't want to go after individuals not doing this and that. It's just in general, there's a lethargy.
Well, and this is the thing. It's the party organization that's supposed to bring that. But we decimated it under the chairmanship of John Bennett last year. He did a lot of things that were divisive, and we're paying a price for it. And this is why we've got to be careful about electing movement people who can give a great stump speech, but you really want to see people whose activities have shown they're already doing the job that the party's supposed to do.
Right.
And that's the problem here. We've had movement people.
Yeah, and when you have OCPA hamstrung because they're busy trying to fight for their own survival.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be about policy, right? That's really their game. Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden they're being attacked.
Oh,
and got guys like Anthony Moore getting emergency protective orders against them because some former employee did a tweet or a text message.
Yeah. Something that just came out. In fact, the night of the debate, the CDC added COVID to the mandatory vaccine.
No, to the recommendations.
The recommendation.
Yeah.
But the recommendation, it'll be up to the state to make it part of the mandatory. And you've got Joy Hoffmeister, who shut down the school system schools because of COVID before.
Because of
CDC, who will make your children get vaccinated.
Right. Now, what the CDC does, if you're from the Tulsa area, you remember Bruce Dart, because G.T. Bynum says, I promised to Bruce Dart I would let him basically take over my office. That's really essentially what he's saying. And this is what happened in these liberal states is it gives political cover to these these liberal politicians to do the power grab and control and shut people's lives down. Yeah. But you've had governors stand up like Stitt, like Abbott, like, the rest of them, and say, no, not in our state.
Right.
Now, it's still a recommendation, okay? And they have a right to recommend.
If Stitt were smart, there would be an ad out today mentioning that.
Yeah.
That this is what will happen. We will be shut down like Michigan, California, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So, anyway, the only thing I had left on my list is Okmulgee. Do you want to talk about that?
No, go ahead.
Well,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we had 4 guys missing. They're announced, their families say they're missing. It started to look a little weird when you find out in the nighttime or in the evening, they went for a bike ride. I don't know. I know a lot of rednecks. A lot of rednecks I know, and none of them ride bikes. That just sounded a little bit weird. But nonetheless, they're missing, okay? So I wasn't going to jump the gun and all of a sudden say, well, whatever happened is serves them right? But evidently in the crime report, they did say that indications say that they were planning an illegal activity. That's all that was said. And evidently it involved showing up near a salvage yard or some kind of that type of scrap metal, recycling or whatever. And evidently, there's indications that right next to it, land adjacent, is where there were signs of a scuffle, foul play. And I don't want to get too graphic, but they found the bodies not intact, but they found the bodies in a river. And the person of interest, I guess, who is connected to the salvage yard or owns the land or something, all of a sudden was found in Florida in a stolen vehicle, stolen in Okmulgee County, I guess. And they just listed him as a person of interest. So he's being detained on the stolen vehicle thing and denied bond, and we're doing the extradition thing. But those are the things I know, which leaves a lot of things we don't know, Eddie. What do you know?
I know nothing. I hear nothing.
Come on, Schultz.
No, it's funny because the first time I heard it, it sounded like a bunch of, or about 4 innocent kids out riding a bike down in Okmulgee that just happened to disappear. So you think it's what happened to these poor kids that disappeared?
Well, I never thought they were kids because it was actually said their wives had reported.
Okay, well, the way I heard it sounded like they were, I mean, when I say kids, like older, teenagers or college students or something out on a bike ride.
Right.
That's what it sounded like. And then, all of a sudden I started hearing these weird things. And then all of a sudden, this comes up. So it's crazy. It's just when he's...
Right. And
so yeah, but you're saying there's some nefarious activity.
Well, yeah, because...
Both ways.
Not that I'm an expert on how to pull off a crime, but... If you're trying to surreptitiously get on land, a vehicle is not the right way. A bicycle is much stealthier.
Yeah, but I mean, what would you be able to get at a salvage yard with bicycles? That's something I'm trying to figure out too, that you could haul out, because this, heavy stuff. If it's auto parts. My
understanding there was heavy equipment there too. But if you can hotwire something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or was the salvage yard the cover for some other illegal activity happening there? I don't know. These are things we don't know.
So maybe it was a drug deal.
I will guarantee you there will be a movie made of this. Okay. Or at least a Dateline episode.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So at least something like that.
But it's nonetheless, it's sad. It's a sad deal.
Oh, for sure.
And but so there, if you don't watch local news, which I don't advise, I watched it for you and read the reports. That's about where things are at there. I'll probably get with Scott Fettgatter, is the state rep there. He's a good friend. He may know something. I'm sure he's checking it. But it's one of those sensitive things. This is where you don't listen to the social media pile-on bunch, Yeah. Because I still condemn the early piling on. Should not happen. It tells me more about the person making the comment than about the person they're writing about. because it tells me where their brain went first thing. But
yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that.
But the bicycle thing was the first clue that something's different here.
Yeah.
How many redneck, 30, 40-year-old guys, going bike riding out in the country at night? This is not the Tulsa.
Well, it was the whole thing from the beginning was just seemed weird.
Yeah, it did.
Weird, But then again, it seemed odd too. The case at 51st and Yale.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
because they wouldn't release any information on the guy. I think it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This happened. So, in fact, when they finally did, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they finally released the information. I had already forgotten about it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden somebody sent it to me.
And for those not up on, this is an ORU soccer player. So This is an athlete,
he was the
college athlete.
I think he was the captain of the team.
Right. And he's following the law. He's stopped at a red light, waiting for his turn to go. And it wasn't just thump. How fast was the guy going to hit him?
73.
No braking from what reports say. No sign of skid marks.
Nothing.
Just bam. And
knocked him through the intersection into the wall, apparently. And then his car exploded. I think the gas tank's probably in the back, and it leaked and exploded.
Right, the ORU student.
Right.
He burned to death.
Yeah, he burned
It was a hellish death, right?
Terrible, because he was alive, but he couldn't get out.
Right.
Oh, it's horrible.
And now the other car, they took that guy, the driver. They already told us some things about him. Evidently, there was alcohol in his system, and they took him to the hospital. They told us but they didn't tell us his name.
Right. And apparently, he had already been arrested earlier.
Yeah.
On another alcohol-related incident.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's a tough deal. Well, anyway, David, I think we've exhausted the info for the day.
Yes. I've got news. Tulsa County GOP headquarters has plenty of signs. Go get your signs. Put it in your yard.
All right. Sports-wise, we'll finish with this.
Yeah.
Big weekend. Mm-hmm. Who does OU play tomorrow?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, they have a bye week. That's right.
Yes.
OU has the bye week. Mm-hmm. OSU plays TCU, I believe.
Yeah.
Is it TCU or Kansas State? I think they play.
No, Texas.
Oh, OU plays. That's right. Thank you, Zane. I knew there was a reason for our audience to be here today.
Right. And
That's right.
in the
Big 12,
be a
good one.
It's official. Big 12's wide open.
Yeah, it is.
The days of OSU dominating, it's done.
Alabama lost last week.
Wasn't that something?
That was something. And
Tennessee
And Alabama plays Mississippi State tomorrow. So Mike Leach gets to have his turn at that'll be interesting. They say that every time Alabama has lost in the past, he's gotten to play Mississippi State the next week and thumps them. He takes his revenge out on Mississippi State. So Leach gets to try that tomorrow. But anyway, we'll see. Hey, everybody, I think we're rambling now. Hey, thank you for joining us. It's been good to be with you. It's the weekend for us. It's the end of the week.
Yeah.
It's Friday afternoon for us, but we'll try to get this up here on Saturday.
Yes.
Enjoy your weekend. God bless, and pray for these elections. Seriously, pray for our nation. Pray for the world. And we'll see you soon. God bless. Goodbye.
Pay them more.
I don't know what's going on. I know it is. Okay. You play a nice conga. Goodbye.
Well, it's another day, and I'm thinking about the things I want to say. But my thoughts are like clouds drifting far away. Well, lying in it, I doubt some another face.